this number? See that number? And you see this number? You see it? This used to be my old reading speed, and this is my new top speed. And this increase in speed of words per minute is an increase of over 811%. Now, it took me a while, but in this video, I want to share with you some of the techniques as to how you can increase your reading speed just like I did. Before we get into the techniques, let's first start with the hurdles as to why you might be a slow reader. So the first hurdle is inadequate education. So have you ever experimented with learning something without having the proper step-by-step guide? And if you have, I'm sure you know it's extremely difficult. And sadly for most of us, when we learned to read, it was back when we were little, about this height, you know. So, and it's the way in which the world is rapidly progressing. The things that we learned maybe over 2 decades ago do not apply today. Hurdle number 2 is the inability to focus, and it's said that actually goldfish have higher attention span than humans, and I believe the average attention span these days is about 8 seconds, and that was from a study that was conducted decades ago, and I'm sure it is much less in the age of TikTok. And when you think about focus, think about this analogy. So imagine you're driving a Formula 1 car and you're going about 200 miles per hour, right? You're only focused on driving that car. If you wanted to text while you're driving that car, it would mean certain death, sorry. So the faster you go, the more likely you are to focus on that one particular goal. But imagine you're driving a car that's going about 20 miles an hour. You know, you'd be able to be doing multiple things, say, you know, answering the phone, eating some food, drinking some coffee, sending a message. So the faster you go when it comes to reading, the better your focus will be. The third hurdle is regression. Have you ever just been reading and then got to the end of a paragraph or a page and thought to yourself, what did I just read? Well, trust me, you are not alone. And this is regression, essentially going back and reading something you've already read. And it said about 25 to 30% of your reading time is regression. But the issue is with the regression, when you regress, you break up your momentum, and breaking up your momentum destroys your focus and your ability to progress through a certain material. Hurdle number 4 is subvocalization. Every single one of us in this world has internal chatter going on. And you know, I tell people that my internal chatter, his name is Cassius, because that boy, woo, he knows how to talk. So the issue is though, if you're reading and you're pronouncing every single word in your mind, then you limit your reading speed to your talking speed and not your thinking speed. And to be able to read faster, you have to limit your subvocalization. And you can't completely get rid of subvocalization, so you have to minimize it to the best of your abilities. Hurdle number 5 is limiting beliefs. If you do not believe you can do something, you will not take an action in order to achieve that one thing. So if you do not believe you can master the ability to become a speed reader, then you've lost the battle before you started. So you have to reframe your mind into constantly telling yourself that it is possible, it is possible. And now for the juicy part of this video, and these are the techniques as to how you can become a faster reader. And technique number 1 is a visual pacer. So let me show you an example. A visual pacer essentially is just like a finger or a pen. I mean, I don't have a pen around here. So if you don't have a pen or anything, you always got your fingers. So what you would do is you'd move your finger and then follow your finger across every single line. And that is essentially what a visual pacer is. And this technique alone is said to boost your reading speed by 25 to 50%. And also when you read, make sure to keep an upright position, because if you're hunched over like this, you close your diaphragm, which stops the flow of oxygen in your body, and that stops your ability to focus properly. And technique number 2 is the 4-3-2-1 method. And essentially what this technique is, you open up your book and you start from wherever you're gonna start, and then set a timer for 4 minutes. You read until that timer goes off, and then wherever you stop, when that timer goes off, you mark on the book. And you go back to your timer and then set it for 3 minutes, but this time you also go back to the beginning of where you started, right? You set it for 3 minutes, and then you look to reach that same place that you reached on the 4 minute when the timer set off at 4 minutes, and you keep doing that for 2 minutes and 1 minute. And this essentially is a speed exercise. So do not worry if your comprehension is not up there. Just focus on the speed, as the speed is the precursor to the comprehension. And then we have eliminating subvocalization. And as I said, you can't ever completely eliminate subvocalization, but you can minimize it to the best of your ability. And there's this counting method, right, which essentially says that while you're reading, you count. So the logic behind that is, if you're counting on the inside, you won't be able to talk in the inside. But this is not my favorite method, and this is the reason I just focus on increasing the speed through the visual pacer, the 4-3-2-1 technique, and all the other techniques, because that one is more killing two birds with one stone, if you will. And it's increasing my reading speed, and it helps to eliminate my subvocalization. Well, not eliminate, my bad, to minimize subvocalization. And the next technique is peripheral vision. So let me whip out a book in order to show you. So essentially what you do with peripheral vision is, you see how you would usually, when you're reading, you go from end to end. Peripheral vision technique says you do not go to either end. You use your peripheral vision to be able to glance at the words at the end. So you'd mainly focus your vision over here, and then as you get towards the end of each line and beginning of each line, you'll be able to scope it with your peripheral vision. And this essentially saves you an immense amount of time when you're reading. And then we have the infinity method. So before I explain this method, let me just give a little bit of a background information. So you know that we have two hemispheres of the brain, right? The left hemisphere is more associated with logic, and the right hemisphere is more associated with imagination. When you read, reading is primarily a left brain exercise, but it's said that the best readers are actually more whole brain, and they don't just read the words, but they're able to experience the words as well. So any activity that you do that helps to increase the communication between both hemispheres of the mind will help you become a faster reader, and which comes to the infinity method. So what you would do with infinity method here, right, is take your finger like this, and then imagine a midline, right, that cuts through the middle of your body. You take your finger like this while looking at the tip of your finger, and this also helps to soften your gaze when you're reading, so that you can take in more words. So you look at the tip, and then you'd slowly go and draw a sideways 8 or infinity sign. And what happens here is, every time you cross that midline, it increases the connection of the corpus callosum, which is the midsection of the brain, and that helps to increase the communication between the two hemispheres of your brain. For those of you that stuck until the end, I got a little special bonus for you, and this bonus is essentially how to read a book a week. You see, the average book has about 64,000 words, and the average reader is reads at about 200 words per minute. And if you do 64,000 divided by 200, you get 320, and this is the minutes per word. And if you take the 320 minutes per word and divide it by 7 days a week, you get 45 minutes. And this essentially, you just read 45 minutes every day, and guess what? You have read a book a week. And thank you if you made it this far again. And trust me, please use this. It's not knowledge that is power, but it's the application of knowledge that is power. And please apply this information, and you will be surprised. You'll be surprised, astonished, not magnificent. Well, yeah, you get the gist. So yeah, please apply. And until next time.